Good morning, folks. Hope everybody's doing well today. I am your host, Gary McLean, and you are watching Talent Talk. Whoa, I'm hitting all the wrong buttons today. Thanks for joining us. I'd like to say a quick little thing about our upcoming guest. He is a actor, both in stage and film, a voice actor for video games, cartoons, various other things. He's also written his own projects, directed his own projects, produced his own projects. He does everything. He's just one of those guys who does that. Um, some of the voice work that he's done is for a video game called um, the Ballad Singer, not the Ballard Singer as it's stated on IMDb. It's Ballad Singer. Keep that in mind. We'll talk about that later as well. And also a cartoon called Darkside Drive. And he's been in such films as The Great Fear, and he's also been in a film project of mine called Yard Sale. We might touch on that a little bit. And he's also, like you said, he's written and directed things as well. And one of the projects that he's written and directed and produced as well is a web series entitled The Reapers. So join me in welcoming this very talented young fella, Mike Anthony.
Hi,
Morning, Mike.
everybody. How's it going, man?
Good, you? I'm just
Doing
noticing
well.
your voice seems a little out of sync right now.
Weird.
Let's see. We'll give it a second. If it doesn't kind of pan out here, I might just kick you out again, bring you back in, see if that helps.
Of
Um,
course.
so yeah, no, how have you been?
I've
What
been
have you been
doing
up to
well for
lately?
the most part. I mean, COVID aside and all that fun stuff, but
Yes, and what have you been doing during COVID? What's been keeping you motivated to get up in the morning besides your fantastic day job that you love so much?
oh, of course. Mostly what's been keeping me going, I mean, is, well, voice acting and writing, because that's pretty much the main two things that I can do right now.
Right.
Um, yeah, I've been working on some new radio plays and some stuff for web series ideas and episode ideas and such, and also auditioning, much like everybody, at least all the actors are right now, and sending off those to various clients, potential clients all over the world, and also practicing voice acting and voices because you got to find the way to get to that next level, of course.
Right. So yeah, let's touch on that a little bit. You stated practicing your voice work. How do you actually practice your voice work?
Well, there's numerous ways to do it. I mean, one of the key prime basic examples is literally like picking up a book or a magazine and just reading aloud, like getting used to not only your own voice, but trying different focuses and cadences and stuff like that. And I don't mean like changing your voice to like a character voice or anything like that. Although you very much can if you want to practice a specific voice. But something along the lines of like taking a basic sentence like it's like you are a good person, but like changing where the emphasis is, so it's like you are a good person, or you are a good person, or you are a good person. Like, I'm over exaggerating for the sake of example, but the idea is just along those lines of being able to do that so you have multiple choices in your tool belt, so to speak, so that when you do an audition and such, you don't come off sounding the same on every sentence.
Right, right. Okay. And when it comes, okay, so let's say you've practiced a little bit. You get some sides for an audition. You've practiced a little bit. Um,
Oh.
Auditions for voice work is slightly different than auditions for film. Can you maybe explain a little bit on what your process is for auditioning for a voice and what you do to actually get that audition out?
Okay, well, I'll do a little bit of the base differences just first. Of course, with a film audition, you're in front of a camera. You might have the director there and or part of the crew. Um, you'll go up there, you'll give your sides, they get to see your physical body, they get to hear your voice. They get to see a lot of these choices that you make. When it comes to a voice acting audition, you have to do everything the film guy does, but you only have your voice to do it. And you have to come off as convincing and believable that you're this character, which you may not be anywhere near, excuse me, the physical person for it, because in some cases you may be auditioning for a monster, an alien, an animal, an inanimate object that's been given sentience. Like I know in some, animes and stuff, you see things like that, like living swords and such, and it's like, okay, how am I going to come up with a convincing voice for that? Um, the main thing that you'll do with sides is that it depends on the style of audition with voice acting. Sometimes they'll have the sides already there for you, and you just, if you want to audition for it, you record and send them in. Sometimes you have to send an email requesting it. And you'll usually will have to provide, in either case, you usually provide, resume and voice demos and such. Which always helps so that people actually know and understand, you have experience, or if you don't have experience and that you're just starting out, they know kind of where you're at. Not that it's a bad thing if you don't have experience, because, I mean, we've all got to start somewhere. But the idea is that the more you show that you can do, the better. But being there and hungry and willing to build yourself up is also great too. A lot of it with voice acting auditions and such, you get your sides, you usually get a very basic description of the character. You might get a picture, you might not. A lot of the time it's like, this is the character, this is their gender, this is their age. If they want a specific accent or voice tie-in, sometimes they'll give it, sometimes they'll give you an example of, like here's a more famous example. Like I know in an audition I did not too long ago, they used Venom as an example, and they said we want someone that sounds somewhat close to Venom, and it was like, okay, not exactly in my wheelhouse, but you give it a shot and you try your luck. But yeah, you record the lines. They'll have requests. Usually it's about 1 to 3 takes. Sometimes they want them in separate files. Sometimes they want it in one gigantic file. They'll request how they want the file. Like, for example's sake, if it's an MP3, some want an edited final project and some just want raw files. So it really comes down to the specifics of what the client or potential client is looking for.
Okay. Fair enough. I do want to touch base on a video game that you were a part of. But before I get there, excuse me. I know, right? What motivated you to actually do the voice work? Was it cartoons as a kid, watching them, going, "Oh, I could do that" type thing, or was it video games themselves? You're like, "Oh, I need to voice certain video games," or whatever the case is. What was your motivation to actually get into this side of the industry?
Well, it may sound a little odd, but I'll tell you a little bit of a story. When I was a kid, of course, video games weren't voice acted back then. They were all more like, here's your 2D sprite, and if there's a text box, there's a text box, and you'd read it and, hit the button to move on to the next one. When I was a kid and such, and when I would play those video games and when I would read books and such, I would always hear like the different character voices going off in my head that I would just create on the spot, and they would stay with me. Like, if I played a sequel and it was the same character, the voice would come back, which was always fun and entertaining. I watched tons of cartoons when I was a kid. I mean, I still enjoy watching cartoons. But now it's like back then it was for fun and enjoyment. Now it's fun and enjoyment, but also studying technique and such just to hear, what some others are doing. But for me as a kid, it was something I always wanted to do, but I had no knowledge and I had no idea like how do I get into it and such. And it was something that I've been acting and performing ever since I think as far back as about 6 or 7 years old. And mostly started in theater and such, and I always wanted to do voice acting. Never knew how to do it until I was in about my mid 20s when I finally found out that there was a studio here in Calgary that did voice acting and such, and they were offering lessons, and um, that's when I started getting into it because I was like, wow, I mean, this is something I wanted to do. Let's go try it out. I mean, if I like it, great. I can push forward. If I don't like it, well, hey, spent a couple $100 and hopefully had a good afternoon.
Okay, that's fair. Um, do you so in the in Calgary when you got your you did your workshops or whatever? I might be fishing for a little bit of a plug for this person, but who's your teacher at the time?
Um, well, to be honest, I have multiple teachers now, but when I first started out, it was a company called Toonvox.
Okay.
Um,
Yep.
Based here in Calgary. They were doing work out of Chinook Animation / Blue Water Studio here in Calgary. Um, I did the 3 levels of courses with them and such. It was run by Jonathan Love and Brad Belden. Great guys. Like I said, I learned a lot from them. And yeah, I did the 3 levels with them and then kind of went out into the world and was like, okay, I've got the training, I've got a little bit of experience. Now it's time to push forward and such. And I landed some gigs and did some stuff and then was like, okay, it was good for starters, but I know I needed more training, more development. So I ended up, just to plug one of your previous guests, of course, our mutual friend, Brendan Hunter. I've taken a few of his courses and such. Great guy, wonderful teacher. Um, and such. And we went from just like essentially just being, instead of just like teacher student, we've become friends, and we even help each other find like voice gigs out there and be like, hey, this is something I think you'd be great for, send kind of thing.
Right, and you've actually been to a couple panels together as well at a couple expos, I think, right? Or at
Oh
least
yeah,
one.
well, I mean, back when I was in the wannabe stage and I didn't know about voice acting, I would crash a lot of the Comic Con panels and such, and that's where I would meet a lot of the local talent and of course a lot of the the big stars you get out of like the US and such that they fly up for these conventions. But it wasn't until I met a few of them, where it was of course Brendan Hunter, Lucas Gilbertson, Carol Ann Day, and Zoe Solstar. Sorry if I mispronounced that one, Zoe. But when I met the 4 of them and such, they really helped and inspired me to get to go from the one level to get to the next one. And it meant a lot to me because I was just some nobody off the street who was like, "Hey, I want a voice act. Can you help me?" And they were like, "Yes, we can help you," kind of thing. Not, "No, this guy's a potential threat. Go away," kind of thing.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is great. And I owe that, like, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, it almost feels like a debt I can't repay because I owe them a lot for what they were willing to do and I mean, I'm still working with them and such. And like, we help each other out as much as we can.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. Some good plugs there. I like that.
Yeah. If I didn't plug, I mean,
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So let's touch base. You've done the audition. You've won the role in this video game of ballad singer, not Ballard singer. It's not about
oh,
the geese or anything.
oh,
Um,
jeez.
so if you are looking this up on IMDb, you do need to look for Ballard singer, or maybe it pops up now because I think you've tried to correct it, and I think they've got like a little side title called Ballad singer now on the IMDb, so you might find it. Um,
Yeah.
but
Oh, that was funny.
yes, so here you are. You've won the job. I'm just going to bring up the poster a little bit here. So this was. Is this your character?
Yes, this is my character, En Kalimo. He is a elven assassin, and he was not a good guy. Let's just say. Um, most of his stories, every chapter was kind of the wow, how can we get more dark and depraved? Except for some weird moments where he'd be like, I'm going to be dark and evil and depraved, but I'm going to have a limit here for some reason. It would just come out of nowhere, and it was kind of like, huh, that's a weird quirk. You know,
Right. So
like like
go ahead.
cold-blooded killer, but it's like he accepts a mission to kill. Spoiler, sorry. In one of the potential paths, he accepts a mission to kill this member of the royalty, and he finds out it's a baby, and he's like, nope, just
Okay.
totally random. And I was like, okay, you just murdered a whole ton of people in the previous scene, but you know what? Not why not? A baby, sure, leave him alone. We got to have our limits.
Right, exactly. There's a line in the sand, and that was his line. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. What preparation did you have to make for this character? Did you have like a little process to kind of create for this guy?
Um, Well, the joys of it is that we got this, to throw a little more background detail into this. This was a project that I had found for a group that I work for here in Calgary, where I work with Lucas Gilbertson and Caroline Day, called the Hermit Collective. And we're our own little studio in town and such. And I work not only as one of the talent, but I also kind of work in the sales department trying to find new gigs and such. And I happened to stumble upon these guys because they had like a really successful Kickstarter for the Ballad Singer.
Okay.
And I thought it would be a neat idea. It'd be a great first project for the game, or for the studio, sorry. And that it would help showcase our talent and such so that we could get out there hopefully with a big success. And it was one of those, I got a hold of them. These guys were based over in Italy. And they were looking, when I got a hold of them, they were actually really excited and enthusiastic because they hadn't started the process of looking for a studio to do the English dub of it.
Okay.
They had their talent and such to do like the Italian version of it, but they didn't have anyone to do the English one. And I just happened to stumble in with the right email at the right time. So it's like we formed our studio, and then 3 days later, I had landed us this gig.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it surprised the hell out of all of us, myself included, because I was like, "Oh, okay, sweet." Um, but yeah, in this case, the client had listened to all the demos for the talent, and he had decided who he wanted in each role, and I was picked as Angelimo. I actually didn't have to audition for it, which was kind of surprising. So it's a very unusual part of the process is when you get assigned a role rather than audition for it. But for me, it was like, okay, I have this role, but I've got to earn it. Like I've got to actually do the work, and I've got to come up with something here because I don't want to be like, haha, I got this role and now I'm going to be full of myself and, ha ha ha. It's like, no, I mean, they would literally kick my ass if I acted like that. I mean, the people at the studio, I'm not even talking about the client. Um, so, but for me, I mean, like, Angelimo was a great learning experience because it was like the game is like, remember those choose your own adventure books as a kid?
I love those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Now imagine a video game like that.
Yeah.
But there's like after you do the prologue, which is two of the characters, and then when you hit the main game, it's like four characters, and like two are heroes and two are villains. And the way the game worked is that you played until essentially you got a character killed, and then you picked if you could either use a continue and retry, or you could let that character die and then pick up one of the other characters in a world that was influenced by the previous character's choices.
Okay. All right.
But for my process, it was like, okay, for 99% of the story choices for Angelimo, it's like he's a despicable, vile, hired killer. He has like no qualms except in certain circumstances about butchering innocent people. Except the one weird little thin branching storyline where he finds true love and redeems himself, or does he, depending on your choices.
Right.
but it was one of those things where the game was quite it was walls and walls of text. So of course it was like we had to make things interesting and such. I had to learn a lot on the fly, and um, just to give you guys a taste of the voice, it was like it's like, you're an assassin, not a warrior, kind of thing. Like it's very dark, very raspy voice, which for me, I was like, it's not your traditional elf voice. Obviously, if you've ever listened to anything like that,
Right.
or like, in games, shows, animes, elves never really have that dark raspiness to it. But I wanted to. My process was like, because he was an assassin, he's obviously done some dirty work. He's probably gotten into some fights. And when I saw his picture, I noticed he was wearing a gorget. And for those that don't know what a gorget is, it's a piece of leather that you wear around your throat. Like essentially, it's throat armor to prevent your throat from being slit. So my process in that was like, okay, normally people don't wear those unless they've actually had their throat slit, kind of thing, like that learned experience. So my thought process with him is like, he's an assassin, but when he was starting out, he got his throat slit, he barely survived, and this is why his voice is different and changed, kind of thing.
Okay.
And it began this kind of process where it was like, okay, so there was times where it's like, yeah, he's super vicious and a killer and he wants to just slaughter people, and then other times where he's I had to do more of like, here's a love story with a dark raspy voice, and here's these things where it's like, yeah, there's people he likes and he gets along with, and it's like, I still had to maintain the voice, but had to go through the different levels and emotions and such. And it was such a fun process for me. The other funny part about it is that I'm guessing the studio, and Kalimo might have been their favorite character. And the reason why I say this is that um, the other actors would get their pages and such for their scenes, and they would have like a good decent amount, and then we would get mine, and the chapters are bloody enormous by comparison. And I was like, oh, and like out of all the people that were cast, I was the least experienced. So it was like, holy crap, I've got so much work to do. And I mean, I can even let you in on the one story. Like, I got sick twice during the game and had colds, but like we had deadlines that we had to make. And I always joke out there and say, see if you can find the 2 chapters that we recorded while I was sick. See if you can notice the difference in the voice.
And did they do that? Like, can you, or do you know?
Some people have listened and not been able to find it, so it's kind of the little Easter egg challenge. I know which 2 chapters, but I want to see, put it out there as the challenge to people to see, play the game or listen to the game and see if you can pick them out.
And where can people buy this game? Or, yeah, exactly. Where is it available
Um,
for people to check out?
game's on Steam,
Okay.
and as far as I know, it's also on you can get it on, like, you can download it onto your phones as well. It's not a free game as far as I know, but I think it's not horribly expensive either at this point.
Okay.
Like,
So just for the folks coming in, so that's the Ballad Singer, which is available on Steam and apparently on your phone. So maybe go to Google Play or whatever the Apple version is, since I'm a Android guy,
yeah,
and
me too.
yeah, check it out. And you can listen to Mike's sultry voice.
Yes, I would greatly appreciate it if you gave Ankalimo more attention and more of a life.
There we go.
Yeah, well, little improv there for you.
Perfect. Um, I know. I mean, I have yet to do any voice work, even though that's how I started, is wanting to do voice work. But having said that, um, I know personally I have certain video games or things like that that I would love to do voice work for. And I'm just curious
Sure.
if you do and what those might be.
Oh, there's a lot of game series that I would love to be a part of. I mean, like the Final Fantasy series is always a classic. I would love to play a character in one of those. I mean, the Resident Evil series or Silent Hill series of games. I mean, I would love to play characters in those. I've always loved those games. Um, I mean, hell, if any of the big anime studios came and kicked in my door and said, "Hey, here's a role," I'm definitely going to take it. It doesn't matter what it is, kind of thing. But it's always it's always the thing where it's like if it if it's good work and if it's paying work and it's something that isn't going to hurt your career but boost your career, it's always worth going into, like, you know, positive and straightforward and show off your skills, show off your talent, and always be willing to listen is the key.
Right.
And be willing to adapt and be versatile
Okay.
as much as
Yeah.
possible anyway.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Right. Um, not that anybody really cares, but mine would be like, well, basically any sort of BioWare product, uh, pre EA. Um,
Yeah, well, you can't win them all, but I mean, BioWare, yeah, I mean, great company. I mean, they're up in Edmonton. I haven't auditioned for them or done any work for them yet, but here's hoping in the future, kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah.
Because it would be great to do some work with them.
Yeah. No, wouldn't it? Yeah. I think that every time I play one of their games, like I could have done that character. Yeah, I could have done that one for sure.
Oh, you don't want to get into that.
Let's say I could
That-
have done it well or better, but I could have
oh
done
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's where the jealousy starts, because then you start comparing yourself, and then you get this whole bitter personality where you're like, well, clearly this guy's not any good. If they cast me instead, yeah,
Right? Yeah. Yeah. For
yeah,
sure. Um, I'd like to kind of transition a little bit and start to delve into a little bit of the film side and some of the projects you've worked on there, and some of the stuff you've written, things like that.
sure.
Um, do you recall what your first, say, film acting role was?
First film acting role. I do actually. It was a video for co-op actually, and it was a scene. Well, it was a two-part video where they were doing those kind of videos for like new employees, kind of thing, like
Okay.
you've been hired into the company, kind of thing. One of them, there was two videos. One of them, I was a shelf stalker, and I was the guy at the very end waving goodbye to people.
Okay.
Like no lines, but I mean it was all music and such. The other one, which thankfully it's not out in the open air. The other one was actually me dancing because they decided they wanted to do this fun video where they got a bunch of random people like in uniform, dancing in the aisles and doing stuff like that. And the guy really liked me. So if you happen to get hired by Co-op, you can see this fun video where it's like I think there's about a minute of me like literally dancing to this song, but at the time there was no song, so it was just me improvising dance because I was like, okay, I have no idea. Let's just randomly throw stuff to the wind and see what happens.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I think mine, like obviously, aside from my first background experience,
Yeah.
um, I think the first thing I did where I had like one line was actually a Crime Stoppers video, like
Were
back
you
in
the
like
perpetrator?
2011. I was not. I was the victim. It was fantastic.
Oh,
Yes,
you
I
died.
was. I did. Yeah. It was an incident that happened in the Northeast. Bartender got shot and killed by a couple intruders in the pub, and yeah, that was me. That was my
Oh, no,
first little stint. Yeah.
keep on being
Um,
classy.
right. And funny enough, I completely forgot about it until you started talking about doing like just a simple little co-op thing, right? And I'm like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, we all got to start somewhere in film. I mean, it's what it is. I mean, not everyone gets to be the star of the feature Hollywood film, of course.
Absolutely. We all start from somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Um, and so that kind of developed into a bit. So at this point, had you? Well, I guess I should ask. You have an agent right now, correct? Um,
Yeah, I do.
and how far into your career did you kind of look into getting an agent?
I was probably about 4 years into my current like career because I did have a bit of a hiatus in life.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, when I came back from the hiatus, that's about excuse me, sorry, about 3 or 4 years in is when I decided I should probably get an agent to see if I can get to, get into some of the, agent only gigs kind of thing where, you can't just send an email and get an audition.
Right. Okay. Um, and so you did a little bit of work on a film called The Great Fear. Um,
I
I think
did.
you were a guard or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
It's been a while since I've actually seen the film, to be honest. So yeah.
yeah. Funny enough, I wasn't physically in the film, but my voice was. It was actually a voiceover role.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Um,
Right. Okay. Oh, yeah. I
yeah,
seem to remember that now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the creator was looking for a bunch of people to do voices for like guards for like radio chatter kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And I think if I remember correctly, it was Brendan who sent me the thing on that. Maybe anyway. But I was still pretty fresh in my voice acting career, so I was just like, there was a thing, and it was like, here's a bunch of different random, like stereotypical guard chatter that you might hear, and it was like, cool, just send us like as many different voices as you can do. So I did. I sent a whole bunch at the time, and was like, cool, here we go, radio chatter and such, and some I don't know which one specifically got picked, but hey, I got into the film, so
Nice. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a good film, by the way. If anybody, again, that's something else you can kind of check out on IMDb, and it's actually spelled The Great Fear. Um, sorry, I shouldn't harp on that. Um,
It's okay.
and just while we're kind of here, I just want to remind folks that are watching right now. Feel free to ask questions, comments, whatever you like as the show goes on. We'll definitely stop for a second to ask your question if you have one, and because it's kind of what it's all about. We're here to interact with the folks watching.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, please feel free. And relatively soon we will be doing our little phrase challenge. We just have a few more topics we want to touch on, and then we'll be doing that,
Oh yeah.
which we've missed the last couple episodes. So I'm kind of looking forward to it.
But yeah, open book people, so feel free. You want to know more about, voice acting or acting, writing, directing, producing, whatever, let me know. More than happy to answer questions.
Exactly. That's why we're here. So that kind of leads into another film you did, which is kind of a self plug at the same time. You played a bit of a scary guy on my short film yard sale. Um, oh, look at that. We got a question. Perfect.
We got a question. Oh,
Um, the question is, what got you started in the field? I'm going to kind of ask that question back a little bit. And are you speaking in regards to film or voiceover or everything kind of deal? Um, Either way, maybe you can answer the question on all sides.
yeah, well, just to start,
Oh, that was from Rachel Lacroix, by the way. Hopefully, I got that right. So,
yeah, when I first started acting, it was when I was about 6, 7 years old. It was school plays, because of course it was that whole thing back in the school that I was in, Victory School, as it was called in Winnipeg. Um, that was the big thing with or not voice acting. Sorry, is that in the school it was, it's the big school play. Every grade was in the thing, so everyone, participated, acted, etc. And it was an annual tradition. So it was like up until I moved, which was about the end of grade 5. Um, that was it. It was always the school play, always getting to act and do, little things here and there. When I moved to Alberta and I lived up in Sherwood Park for a few years, for junior high year, well, 6 through 9, I still wanted to act, but I didn't know much of the outside world outside of school plays, so I kept doing school plays and such because I was like, cool, at least I'm acting, at least I get to do something. An audience gets to come out and see me, and hopefully they enjoy it and such. I continued through high school when I moved to Calgary after grade 9. Continued doing theater all through high school, um, which kind of leads to a bit of a sad note in that I got some really bad advice at the end of high school, which I never should have listened to. But I was told by a teacher at the time that I wasn't going to have a future in the acting career, which kind of bummed the hell out of me. So, but in my logic, I was like, okay, well, if you can't be in the spotlight, the next best thing is to be the guy using or holding the spotlight. So I went into university and focused more on a technical theater background, running events, doing sound, stage management, etc. Because for me, it was like, well, at least I'm there. If I can't be the star, then helping someone else become the star or be better was great, in my opinion. I graduated university, got my degree. I kind of got hit with a lot of bad things in life, all kind of at once. I kind of fell out and kind of worked like my job. Um, it wasn't until I hit about 30. My father passed away from cancer during that year. I also broke up with my girlfriend at the time soon after that. And on New Year's Day of that year, I was sitting in my mother's basement and kind of had like depressed and like really kind of sad, and was like, the question that popped into my head was, what's the one thing that makes you happy? And without any hesitation, the word acting popped into my head, and I was like, okay, this is what I've got to do. And I was like, okay, I have to start fresh. I can't use any of this old stuff because there's been such a ridiculous time gap between me acting. So I was like, okay, I have to get out there. I have to do this, and I have to push forward. Um, a friend of mine, Patrick Murray, knew I wanted to get into acting and such. Again, we had talked. He actually gave me my first voiceover role, which was for Scorpio Theater's production of Reservoir Dogs. I voiced a radio DJ in the trailer for it. And it was that thing of, once I did that, and then shortly after that, I did the co-op video, and then that was it. I was like, okay, I've got some stuff. Let's get rolling. Let's keep pushing. And yeah, like that was most of everything, except for the only thing was writing. Was during part of the sad thing time was also like um, I had some foot surgery and such, and I was sitting there. This was a little while ago. A few years ago, and I had some foot surgery to correct some genetic stuff. It was healing and such, and I was stuck at home, bored out of my mind, watching web series on YouTube. And a lot of the stuff that was coming out at the time was like relationship-based comedies. Um, and such, and one that some friends of mine had done called The Writer's Circle, I had watched and was like, cool, well, they're local, they did a web series, surely I can come up with something here. So I started writing just to see what would come up with, and that's how I ended up creating The Reapers. And from there, it kind of revitalized my also desire to create, like not just act and do and perform in other people's projects, but to create my own. And like The Reapers, I mean, we only got the few episodes done, unfortunately, because it was a funding issue. But I've got all like 3 seasons of scripts written, because the story just I first wrote it as a 1 season thing, and then when I sent it out to my readers, they were like, no, 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 this can't end after 1 season. You got to keep going. And I was like, yes, you're right. And then yeah, it became 3 seasons.
Nice. It's a great segue, by the way. So we can.
I tried.
Yeah. So we'll kind of in a moment. I'll show a little bit of the intro to the first episode, just so people can get a little bit of a taste. When it comes to the funding, like the majority of that came out of pocket for you, right? If not all of it.
Just about. I did get a little bit of private donations as well, from people that were, very helpful and willing to support. But I had to promise that I would not name them, so I cannot name them specifically. But they did give me some funds, which I greatly appreciate, and was very glad that I was able to use it towards the show and push forward kind of thing and get as much as we could done.
Okay. So with that, I'll start the intro to the first episode. We'll only be showing like maybe a minute, 2 minutes tops type deal. Just kind of give people an idea of what it's about, because you get to learn pretty quick right off the bat. So here we go.
There's no sound.
No sound?
No, I can't hear anything.
Uh-oh. All right, let's try that in a second again here. We'll try resetting that up. Apologies for no sound there, folks. We'll get that sorted out momentarily.
If anyone has a question, feel free to ask while we're waiting. I'll answer away, and while Gary's working here.
That's probably why there is no sound. All right, let's try that again.
There we go.
Perfect. Okay.
Is this seat taken?
It's yours if you're paying.
Sure, why not?
What can I get for you?
You need a minute?
No.
Just tell me what you want.
Yeah, sure. Can I get a waffle, a couple of sausages, and a glass of milk and a cup of coffee?
On the way?
Sausages. Those things will kill you.
So when do we talk about it?
Talk about it.
Yeah, about kill.
We don't talk about that here.
We don't.
No. We're here to talk about breakfast. Ah,
There you go.
thank you.
Is there anything else I can get for you two?
Another glass of water?
Sure thing.
Thanks. You see, my friend, I already know what you want.
Well, yeah, I want you to.
You are bacon. In your mind, you're the greatest thing in the world. But to her, you're swine.
How did you know that?
It's written all over your face. She's treated you like swine one too many times, and you're done. You've had enough.
All right. That was your little teaser.
Yeah.
So yeah, written, produced. Well, there was a few producers on board for sure.
Yep.
And I just wanted to say welcome to Chingaze. He says hi.
Hey, Chingaze.
And we also actually had another question from Rachel here, so I'll quickly throw that by you, and then we can kind of get back onto the Reapers here. So Rachel asks, how do you handle stage fright, or is it something you even experience?
The funny part about stage fright is it's something that I don't actually experience. It's that funny. It's almost like an odd irony where it's like if I'm out there and performing, it's like I'm this character, and this character doesn't suffer from stage fright and such. They may be nervous, they may be anxious, they may have their own various problems depending on the character and such. But for me personally, it's like no, I can't be terrified out there because it's like it's just not within myself to do it. For me, the funnier thing, like what would make me more nervous in life would be like getting up in front of like the class in school and having to give a presentation. Like that I find was more unnerving. Being out on stage or in front of the camera and such like that, it's like, for me, it was like, cool, ignore the audience, ignore the camera, perform kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm similar that way. I'm much more nervous just going in front of and doing a presentation of some sort, and it could be amongst friends or whatever, work colleagues, whatever, and I'll be much more nervous than I am even right now, or doing a stage play or whatever the case happens to be. Because it, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, it's your if you're doing a presentation type thing, you're still you. You're still
Yeah.
presenting yourself. If you're on stage or on film, you're a different guy. You're a different person. You can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You've put on the performance mask, and it's just like, yeah, all your problems and or insecurities or issues or whatever, they don't exist because you're now wearing the mask, and you're now this character. Yeah, and it's like this character may have their own problems, but they don't have your problems,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. 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 It's kind of a weird thing, but yeah. I
It's
can
an
relate to that.
acting thing. It's just, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, unless on those odd, rare times where you actually have to play yourself, and then that might be kind of the fun, metaphysical screwballness with it.
Right. And Chingaze was happy to see the Reapers intro there, just so you know.
Well, if you catch our last episode, you might see a certain Chingaze in that episode doing his best.
Right? Yes. There's quite a few folks in that, to be honest, like local talent for sure.
Oh yeah, I was heavily recruiting local talent for that show because I wanted to, and we filmed all around Calgary and a little bit in Airdrie as well.
And so, like you said, you've got how many episodes do you have now? 6 done?
Yeah.
Or, okay. And like you said, you've got 3 seasons more or less written out.
Yeah.
Do you have a game plan or a preferred game plan on how this moves forward?
Well, it kind of ties into another project that I have. Mainly because I was a bit bummed out that the Reapers had to go on the shelf. Unfortunately, like I said, it was funds for the most part. As much as I would, love to have pushed forward, it just wasn't happening. So I decided that I was like, okay, I'm going to write a script, which I literally wrote in a night because I was that determined. And I was like, cool. It's going to be based on another character that was going to appear in the second season of the show, but I was going to write in and tie it in. So it's got tie-ins to what's already been seen. But the idea was to use this new piece as not only a hope of revitalizing it, but also possibly using it as a means, assuming it's successful, to maybe do a crowdfund, Kickstarter, draw in private donations, something along those means, so that we could go back and, with the new knowledge that I have, probably go back and reboot it, almost like redo the series. Because while I love what we've done and I appreciated everyone's time and effort and such, I was a raw director, in all honesty. I made a lot of mistakes, which thankfully those that were around me were more than happy to correct me, help me, etc. With the new knowledge I've picked up, I would love to go back, redo some of these episodes, and say, like, with what I've learned, this is now, like, take the Reapers and make it better, kind of thing.
Right.
Like, get it to that level that it should be at. Like, it's great what it is, but I think we could do even better potentially. But I just needed the funds so that I can be like, here you go. Here's your funds. We've got everything scheduled for this. We don't have to play around with stuff. We're just good. We're golden, and boom, kind of thing.
The ever-existing issue of no funds. so many
Life
projects would
of
be
an
done
indie
right now.
filmmaker. Yeah, and I mean, like, I've worked with a lot of people because of the Reapers in and around Calgary and Airdrie, and like I said, I appreciate all the work and effort they have done for me on this. And I will, there's a lot of them that if they said, "Hey, Mike, come and do this," thing, I would be like, "Cool, I will schedule it and I'll be there," because I do owe them favors at the very least for their time.
Okay. One last thing until we kind of get into the phrase challenge here. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's that time. Future projects. Do you have anything on the go that you're kind of working on, and whether it be in the acting side or the writing side or directing side, whatever the case may be?
Well, the aforementioned film that I have talked about, the one that I hope to use, we were filming it. We were actually almost done, but COVID hit. We're actually about a scene and a half away from having it done. Now that COVID's kind of relaxing a little bit, I want to get everyone together and, of course, safely shoot those last scene and a half so that we can be done and get it edited and such and get it ready. Because I'd love to submit it around to film festivals and such to, not only have people around the world see it, but to hope that it will drive up interest and such. I am doing also a ton of writing right now. I am writing a lot of radio plays. This ties back into Darkside Drive, which is actually, I think you called it a cartoon earlier, which I found funny.
Oh, yes.
It's actually a series of radio plays that were done on, a lot of them live on CJSW here in town. Where they had all of us kind of like the old 50s style, where we were all standing around like one microphone with like music stands and our scripts and such, and just acting kind of thing. Very kind of Twilight Zone kind of theme to the show, but various things all over. If the second season, if you go to darksidedrive.com, I'm in 11 of the episodes, but the very last episode of the second season is one that I directed, wrote, and acted in. Essentially, it was a episode called Voices, and just to give you the little pitch to maybe get you to listen to it, imagine if a blind first date turned into the battle for one's soul.
All right. Sounds like a dark romantic comedy to me.
Oh, it's definitely got its dark moments and its comedic moments. I'll give you that. Otherwise, I'm currently kind of taking on one of my big epic writing projects that I'm working on right now. Is I'm trying to work on a radio play series. I've planned it out for about an 8-episode series that we hope to do live on the air. Obviously one episode at a time, because it'd be a little nuts to do an 8-episode onslaught. But the idea is that if you remember kind of the old shows of like the 80s and the 90s, where it's like, it's a kid's show, but here's these blatant commercial plugs for toys and products and stuff like that, because clearly, this is what the show's for. But the idea is that, imagine it's like, not only it's a radio play doing this, but you have like the lines get blurred between what's in character, what's out of character. People are reacting to how things are happening in the show, and it's going to be a giant screwball comedy kind of thing. But it's kind of this loving homage and parody of like voice acting and commercialism, and how actors act in front of the microphone, and how like the stereotypes of what they're like offside and such. I'm just about done the first episode of it, and I hope that when the muse gets to me, we'll get more done.
Awesome. No, that sounds good. We'll get going on the phrase challenge here, because we are kind of running a little bit late. That's all good. Usually, so I'll just, for the folks that may not have seen this before, how this works is both Mike and I have a random phrase generator, of which I can't see his, he can't see mine. He's going to choose a phrase first because I always give the guests the first chance to do this.
Of course.
And of course, because I'll save my embarrassment for later. I'll give you the first embarrassment. Um,
Lucky me.
and so then we kind of charade it out and try to guess. Obviously, encourage the viewers watching to also try and guess. So please feel free to pop in your comment as to what you think he might be trying to charade out. We'll do that kind of back and forth a couple times, and see if we can actually figure out what we're doing. It's a 1 minute timer, so he's got 1 minute to kind of charade out his thing, and then we'll kind of go from there. One other thing I wanted to mention before we kind of get into that is I just want to touch base on the next episode. It's kind of a interesting episode because we've so far a lot of my episodes have been with local Canadian talent. The next one is actually with somebody who's a producer in New Zealand, but is also has recently moved to LA and is trying to make it as a producer slash actor in LA. So stay tuned next week, same time, next Saturday, same time, 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, and you can meet Charlotte Larson from New Zealand. There's that plug. All right, Mike, I'm going to get my counter ready. Yes, I know. I've got lots of plugs. I'm going to need some in my my head soon as well.
No. You just do what I did. Then you never have to worry about it again.
Yeah, I could do that. I did do that for quite a few years, to be honest. And I think that's maybe why it's just not growing back anymore.
It happens. But I mean, better than what you could have in some cases. So.
No, that's true. All right, get my stopwatch ready here. All right, so Mike, have you gotten your phrase chosen? I will. Don't worry, I'll give you full screen in a second here when you get started.
Yes, I have.
All right, perfect. And hopefully the folks watching are ready. And I will give you.
I've played charades in years. This is going to be entertaining. Pretty bad.
All right. 1, 2, 3, go. 4 words. Oh, it's a difficult one. All right. First word. Small gap. Expansion. Growing. Accordion. Okay, we're scrapping that one. Fourth word. All right, let's do it. Teeth. Tooth. Okay. Tooth. Fourth word is tooth. First word. It's not growing, eh?
That's it.
Oh, I don't know. I'm at a loss on that one. Open your face up. That's what Chingays had just said.
It's hard to describe without saying anything.
See, our time is up. Look how fast that minute went.
Yeah.
All right. We'll give it a minute or a few seconds here. Wide mouth Mason something, Chingays said. We'll give it another few seconds here. Let's see if there's any other guesses from the audience, and then we'll fisherman's tail from Rachel.
Yeah, this clearly shows how bad I am at charades.
And so I know, right? I don't know about you, but the time seemed to go super fast for me, even. So I don't know if it went fast for you.
It felt pretty long, actually. But,
did it? Okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
But the joys of it's when you're performing. All right, so here's what it is. This, if I give it to you, don't think of short or small or growing, but instead of short, think of long.
Long, okay. Yeah. Long in the tooth.
There you go.
Dang it.
I was trying to think of, unfortunately, the limitations of the camera and the screen. It's like my hand's constantly disappearing off. I'm like, well, I tried.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Oh, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna switch it over to me here, and don't worry, it's not gonna get any better.
Oh, this should be entertaining.
Okay, we'll try this one. All right, are you ready?
As much as I'm ever gonna be.
All right.
4 words. First word. Rolling.
Um,
Fourth word.
um,
Rolling with the punches.
done. Look at that. 22 seconds. That was
Hey!
fantastic. All right. That was good. I enjoyed that one. Finally got one. I think that was my first one. I don't know. Maybe second.
Oh, but
All right. You get
yeah.
to choose another one.
Oh,
Are
geez,
you
we're doing
excited?
more.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're doing
man.
more.
I guess I should create a new batch of them. Oh. Okay, this one I think's a little easier, but we'll go from there. We'll see how bad I do with this one. But anyway, go
All right.
ahead.
Do it. Go.
Okay.
4 words. First word. Shoot. Gun. Aim. Kill. Um, was it closer to the gun or was it closer? Um, Rifle. Sniper. Um,
You were closer at the beginning.
closer at the beginning. Okay.
Another word. Don't think minus an O. I'm going to help you out of shoot.
Oh, shot. Ah, wow. See, you gave that one away. Okay, shot. All right.
Well, I had to.
Fourth word. Um, Behind. Back.
Yeah.
Distance.
But
Chingays.
is there
Rachel,
something?
guess shoot
It's
to
not.
kill.
It's not. It's not bright, but look where I'm pointing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, dark. You're giving too many hints, man.
Well, I have
Dark.
to help you.
Shot in the dark.
There you
There we
go.
go. Justin as well guessed it at the same time. We actually went a little bit over on that one too.
Yeah,
or
well,
like,
whatever.
oh, Chingays also had shot through the heart, which was good. Yeah, that was a good guess.
Yeah, no, that was a good guess.
So yeah, Justin Guild guessed
Yeah.
shot in the dark as well. So
Hey, Justin.
in fact, he probably got it before me in reality because there's a bit of a delay from the time guests actually type something to the time I see it. So I think Justin wins that one.
We will send him his prize.
Yes, here it is. By the way, congrats. All right, what else we got here? All right.
All right, let's see what else you got.
All right, this is hopefully an easy one. I'll switch it over to me. All right. Oh, Chinggay says to be fair, he guessed it before you pointed. Yeah, Chinggay is good that way. He's right on the ball.
Yeah, he gets it every time.
He does. Yeah, he usually knows before we know. So that's his skill.
Well, because yeah, he's the one who made the random phrase generator, of course, so he knows what's coming up.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's got it
All
all memorized. All right, here we go.
What you got? 2 words.
Yeah, only 2.
First word. Flat.
Maybe it's not as easy as I thought.
Second word.
See now we're
I want to
we're
say slice, but it looks like you're working a deli slicer.
see that that went so fast. We're out of time.
Okay, well, I didn't have a clue on that one.
Yeah, that was actually tougher than I thought it would be. I don't know if anybody else has any guesses. We'll give it a few seconds to see if anybody wants to throw one out. That might have been a really bad charade on my part, which isn't new.
Well, I mean, Chingay should have the answer. I mean, he already knows.
Yeah, I think he's just giving other people an opportunity to actually guess what it was first.
Well, he is
he's
a
nice
good,
that way.
genuine guy, so that makes sense. All right, I don't think anyone's got one. So,
All right. Yeah, that was horrible. This was supposed to be top, right?
oh,
Okay. I don't know if anybody's got it now, but and then this one I was trying to do. Oh, good guess, Slingshot, by Rachel. And then this was supposed to be a drawer,
top
sliding
drawer.
drawer. Yes, top drawer. Chingay's the best. The closest yet is Chingay's is here, where he said Earth VCR.
Wow.
So yeah, thank you, Chingay's. That was. I think I should change it to that, to be honest. We'll say that's what it was. All right. So in reality, we usually do 2 or 3 of those. Yeah, I need another chance to get another one here. So we're gonna do one more. One more for
All right.
folks.
One more, and then some Q&A or something.
Yeah, and again, if anybody else still has any questions they'd like to ask Mike or myself, please feel free to do so. You can bring them up now, and when we're done this round, we'll go through them. And
Sure.
you can let me know when you're ready there, Mikey.
Oh, but now we got the flat Earth VCR now. All right. Okay, I'm gonna try this one. It's gonna be silly, but why not? All right.
Cool. Let's do it. Go. Oh, I gotta give you full screen. There we go. 3 words. Third word. Up. Nice. First word. Running, jogging, swinging. Oh, so I'm close on that one. Swinging, skipping. Let's see what else
Hard
we
to do
got.
because I'm stuck sitting. It's not. It's something you also do when you're dancing.
Oh, when you're dancing. Jeez, I don't know. Skipping, hopping. We're out of time. So up. Oh man. So we'll give it again. We'll give it a few more seconds. See. Shake me up.
Shake me up before you go. No, funny, but no.
Get on up.
Wow, it's all musical now.
Right?
Got some James Brown now. Not that I can do a James Brown voice, but
All right. Okay, let's hear it. What is it? What do you got?
jig is up.
Jig. Oh, the jig. The jig is
Yeah.
up. All right.
Jig is yeah. All right, last one from you, and then we'll do
Stand
some
in one corner away
Q&A.
from the ladies.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
All
right.
Jeez, I tell you. All right, last one.
Yeah, well, with my dancing skill, I'm not surprised with that comment, Chingays.
Last one. Here we go. All right. And
3 words. First word. Skipping. Hopping. Bouncing.
Okay.
Third word. Scope. Shooting. Gun. gun. Oh, I probably know this too. It's really gonna piss me off. Yeah, I think Justin got it. Jump the gun.
He did. Justin got
Yeah.
it again. Yep. So for folks who didn't see his comments, which I'm sure you probably did, and time is out anyway. Jump the gun. So nicely done, Justin. Here's your second award. Congrats. Thanks for playing. You're awesome. Perfect. No, that was good. Okay, that was good.
Oh, fun.
I got a couple today. I'm actually on a roll today.
Nice.
Fantastic. That's better than I think I've done all season. So I'm
Well,
happy with
you
that.
know, giving you some hints and cheating also, you know.
Right. Yeah. No, that was awesome. Thank you, folks, for playing. I'm so excited that you guys were joining in on that. That was awesome. And great guesses, by the way, as well. So we're going to kind of wrap things up, and just let me know if you have any questions for myself or Mike before we log off here. If not, yeah, it was great having you on board, man.
Oh,
I figured it
but,
would be a fun one to do, and it was. Hopefully, it was fun for the folks that were watching.
yeah. Pleasure to be invited on. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you for having me on and letting me, you know, ramble on with all my wackiness and tell a few stories.
Absolutely.
Is
And I'm sure we'll hear you on more either radio, CGSW, or video games, whatever the case may be. I'm sure we'll see you or hear you around, if nothing else. I know we'll see you in the future on some film stuff as well.
Oh yeah, well, I'm waiting to hear back on some auditions. So I mean, you never know. If
Right.
I do post on of course my Facebook page.
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
there we go.
Well, that's my Twitter, but you know,
Oh, did I write that wrong?
well,
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I did that.
the funny part is that they're actually very similar to each other. But the Facebook one, www.facebook.com/Mike Anthony VO. You do have to put the whole thing in there, otherwise, you know, my name is somewhat common, so you'll bring up a bunch, or you'll get a bunch of Mark Anthony's, because you know, joys of. But my Twitter is at Mike Anthony VO. I do post when I'm auditioning, when I do gigs, announcements, stuff like that. I'm probably going to do some more stuff in the future where I'm going to hopefully start interacting. Well, I do interact with people on there, but talking about, you know, processes and giving advice and stuff like that. Not that I'm ready to be a teacher or anything, but just, you know, give some, you know, light, friendly pushes in the right direction kind of thing.
Cool. That sounds good.
Is there any questions, or have I answered every query that you could ever possibly have, and therefore for the rest of your life you will never have a question again? Ha 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 ha.
And if you don't have it today, you can definitely reach them on Facebook or Twitter.
Oh yeah. Facebook or Twitter. I'll answer as quick as I can, as long as I'm not, you know, working or in the middle of something. But always happy to chat with people. Always willing to give advice to people that want to get into the industry, want to figure out what to do with the next step, and you know, like what steps they should take, because I've done it all, so to speak, on the process and how to get in there, and you know, and such.
Perfect. Awesome. And on that note, again, I'm not really seeing anything, so we'll go from there. And if you enjoyed the show, please tell your friends. We love having guests on here. We love the interaction. It's kind of the way why we do it live, is we want that interaction with the folks watching. So yeah, definitely tell your friends about it if you've enjoyed it. And like I said, join us next week, and we'll have a chat with Charlotte Larson from New Zealand. So thanks again for the folks watching, and for the folks that will watch after the fact, because I do know a lot of folks do watch the recorded version. And again, for the folks watching now, it is recorded, and it is available on both Facebook and YouTube after the fact. So thanks again, everybody, and we will see you next week. Have a good weekend.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.